All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this lovely Tuesday. My name is Hannah. I lead email and community at Growclass. You've probably seen me poking around your inbox. If you have never met me before, hello. I'm the face behind all the emails in your inbox. It's nice to meet you. If you're not familiar with Growclass, you're a 6-week growth marketing course and community filled with founders, marketers, and freelancers. So we teach folks the skills they need to grow their careers and their businesses. But today I'm really excited to be learning how to create personal PR impact by attending events with Katrina Klier. So Katrina is an accomplished chief marketing officer, board director, and speaker. She currently serves as the senior managing partner of Sage Strategy Group, providing go-to market strategy and adversary services. Sorry, it's kind of hard to admit people while I'm chatting, so forgive me. Katrina has built both corporate and executive brands for iconic companies and people. She believes that everyone should have the opportunity to build their personal brand, and she's happy to share the inside scoop on how you can do so with a fundamental framework that has worked for multiple executives in multiple industries. So I'll be dropping Katrina's links for you in the chat so you can connect with her there. If you do have any questions for Katrina as we go through this presentation, we do have time for Q&A. So feel free to unmute yourself, drop your questions in the chat. You can also use the hand up emoji if you want to make it known that you have a question. And if you're feeling a little bit shy, you can always send me a private message and I'll ask the question on your behalf. And a reminder that there's no such thing as a dumb question. We're all here to learn, and this is a judgment-free zone. So we just ask that you keep it kind and respectful to one another, and we'll be all right. But with that being said, I'm going to pass the mic over to Katrina, and we'll learn how to create personal PR impact by attending events. Over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Hannah, and good morning, good afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world today. It's very nice to be with you. Thank you all for inviting me to spend this time with you. And I'm excited to talk to you a little bit more about creating personal PR impact by just attending an event. Because most people think, well, I'm not on a panel, I'm not speaking, I'm not sponsoring, I'm just going. But you can completely get impact out of just being at events, whether they're virtual events or on location, like in-person events. Either one, this will work for both. And I'm excited to share this with you because honestly, as a former chief marketing officer and head of digital and done all the things in marketing over my career, these are the things that I used in those jobs. This is what I worked with some big name executive communications people for them to do at the event. This has worked for various entrepreneurs. It's worked for people at different stages in their career who are either just looking to get their professional brand out there more, or they might be looking for a new job and trying to, show up in all the right places and things. So I hope you pick up a few good things from this. I have a little cheat sheet gift for you. I'll drop in the chat when we get toward the end. And then I've got a bigger guide you can download later if you want to. But again, I'm Katrina Klier, and it's nice to be here with you today. Let me see if I can do the screen share thing. All right. And hopefully, let's see, this works. All right. Okay. Can everybody see this?
Perfect.
All right. Awesome. I sometimes can't always see the chat and things. So Hannah, if somebody drops a message in, just jump in and we can answer it as we go. So anyway, we're going to go create some personal PR impact. So not necessarily new news to everybody, but really, events are everywhere and they've come back in force since the pandemic restrictions have been easing over the last 2 years. There's close to 2 million events every year just in North America alone. And that's, so if you really want to go to some events, you should have plenty to pick from. And people tend to attend events to be, to kind of see and be seen. They want to see what's going on, but they want to be known for being there and to hear and learn new things, and also to be heard, like to share their voice as well. And so events can be a pretty powerful mix in your marketing. And they're really an opportunity. I don't know any Emily in Paris fans. I love that show. It's just fun. But anyway, if you watch the show, the main character, Emily, is always doing selfies and posting things and this, that, and the other. And she's, it's a little bit of a goofy show, but it's a lot of fun. And when you go to events, it's really an opportunity to leverage your attendance and, again, be seen, be heard, and to connect. And all you really need to do is a few simple steps to plan ahead, a little bit of follow-up, and you'll get the results. I got a super easy framework. It's worked for lots of people, and you can totally do this yourself. Like you'll be able to just grab and go for your next event. So a lot of people say, well, how does this help my personal brand? Like if I'm just attending an event, I'm not speaking, I'm not on a panel, I'm not sponsoring, I'm not working in a booth or anything, like how does this really help my brand? And there's really a few ways that happens. So the first one is brand drafting. And anybody that follows cycling knows the concept of drafting, right? You know, you have someone that's out in front and they're going super fast, and the people kind of are just the right spot behind them, and they kind of don't have to work as hard, right? They can draft off of the person in front. And your professional brand can draft off of the sponsors, the speakers, the event brand that you're going to. So you kind of build that connection and can kind of draft off of that brand. It can expand your brand to new people and new places too. You know, if you're trying to pivot your career a little bit from, you know, I don't know, maybe you've done a lot of work in the security space. My background's mostly in tech, so forgive me for all the tech examples. But if maybe you did a lot of work in security in your tech career, and you really want to lean a little more into AI, as an example, it's not that big of a stretch. It's a little bit more of a lean versus a hard pivot. But maybe you aren't really known for AI and those kinds of things, and going to some different AI events, doing some of the things we're going to talk about throughout this presentation can give you that brand expansion. So someone might say, oh, Katrina, well, she's awesome at security, and look, now she does AI too. That's pretty cool. I want to learn more about that. And it gives you expertise association, which is a little bit like brand drafting, but it's kind of as you start to comment and add insights from the events you go to on different topic areas, you get associated with that other kind of expertise. So it's a really easy way to help build your personal brand. And I recommend people do this, even if you're like super happy in your career and you're not really looking for anything new. No time like the present, better to do this when you don't need it, because then you build the foundation for when you do. If you have your own business or you do some side hustles and things like that, this is a great way to build your brand there as well. So a big part of this comes down to the social posts that you do. That's really the mechanics behind all of this. And a lot of times people will say, well, Katrina, that's fine, but like, what makes a good post? Like, I don't really know what to put in there, or I'm not really sure and I don't want to get it wrong. And so let's take some of the mystery out of it for you. First of all, just write how you speak. You want to sound like you. If people read some of your posts and then they meet you, it should sound like you. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be super fancy. If you're someone that's pretty casual, your post can be casual. If you're someone that tends to be more formal, then your post can be formal. That's totally fine. It's nice to add some pictures, images, graphics, make it a little bit visual. These pictures can be of anything. Like take this, I think this is a lovely photo of the person here. You could do this as a selfie outside an event, right? It doesn't have to be super fancy. It could be a picture of the event itself, anything that you want. But like if you saw this person in an event, you'd be like, I want to meet this person, like put together, but not too like unapproachably overdone. You know, really lovely smile. Seems like someone that if you saw this person at an event, you'd be like, I want to meet them. I want to go up and say hi. They look like they've got it going on and they've got some good things, and this is somebody I want to meet. When you're writing your posts, like add some white space in there. You'll see some examples to just kind of break up the text a little bit. Always tag people and organizations when it makes sense to. And if you're on a platform where hashtags are helpful, then make sure you add hashtags too. So super easy. Write how you speak, sound like you, add a little bit of visual interest, put a little white space in there so it's easy to read, tag the right people, and you're good to go. It's pretty much that simple. And it's, sorry, something popped up. There we go. So it all starts with a simple plan. So 3 steps, right? There's a couple things to do before. We'll get you organized and let you put yourself out there. During the event, you're going to take in content because you're there to, you know, hear and to learn, and create some assets that you can use in your posts. And afterwards, you're going to recap, maybe do some celebration and extend your brand past the life of the event itself. So let's talk a little bit more about how all of that works. So before the event, I'd like to tell people, make a cheat sheet. And I'm going to drop one of these in the chat here in just a bit for you to get started. I like these because then it takes the stress out of doing all of this. And if you make your cheat sheet ahead of time, and it only takes like 15 minutes, you're going to be much more likely to do all the follow through afterwards. Why? Because you've got all the details organized, and it'll be a lot easier to do. You also want to go follow the event organizer on LinkedIn and other channels. This talk today is very LinkedIn centric because it's kind of made for people building their professional brand, but you might be on other channels too, and that's fine. This works if you're on Instagram, if you're on TikTok, if you're on any of these other channels, the same approach will work. So go follow the event organizers in all of those places. If there's certain speakers that you're really interested in, make sure you follow them as well. And you can draft posts to fill in during and after the event. I love to do this. I do this all the time. It's like I kind of write out a post and I leave the spaces in there for the things that I need to drop in during the event and then afterwards. And again, then you're all organized and you're good to go. So it's super easy. You just drop in your details, post, and you're done. And so before the event, it's nice to post that you're attending, especially if it's a larger event or if the attendees, it doesn't have to be a huge event, but if it's an event where the attendees are people you really want to get to know in more detail, post that you're attending. It's super easy. People then know you're there and they can look for you and find you during the event. All right, so some examples. If you've just registered for an event, like the SaaStro event at the top, hey, I registered for this, can't wait to see people there. You'll notice the event hashtag and another hashtag for people that I would want to meet are included in here. Ask them to comment, like, what are you most looking forward to? The one over to the side, did you mark on? That's another one, looking forward to this. Who else is going to be there? What are you most looking forward to? Again, event hashtag and some other hashtags as well. But you can do it even like super simple and easy. And my husband laughs because this Jan Klier at the bottom is actually my husband. He was just at the big NAB event out in Las Vegas. And I was putting all this together for different things. He's like, I'm going to do it. And I'm like, go for it, honey. He did this really simple post. I'm going to be there. If we're connected on LinkedIn, he posted this on LinkedIn and you're visiting the show, let me know and let's grab a coffee. So he forgot the event hashtag and a few other things. But you know what? Just from this post alone, he got 3 coffee meetings. He got invited to a couple more like evening events. People do the happy hours and the social things and stuff in the evening. And there were people that walked up to him at the event and was like, oh, I saw your post and I didn't have a chance to reply. Can we chat for a few minutes? So it doesn't have to be big and fancy is the lesson from this. I mean, if my husband, who works in like video post-production, can do this and get that kind of result, like you can totally do this too. He's not a marketing guru. He's just married to one, as he always likes to say. But so keep it simple and you can really have some impact. Another nice one, like, before the event, this is a little bit longer one. I kind of loved this example because sometimes events will create social posts for you to share that you're going to be there. And that's kind of what this is an example of. And so Sanja was going to this event. She used the social posts that the event provided. And she wrote this really nice little post. It took a little more time to write, but when you think about it, it talks a little bit about the right hashtags of what the event is really all about. It talks about why she wants to be there and some of the different things that she's looking forward to. And she adds a little fun thing about it. So she's always wanted to live in Morocco. What about you? So get people to comment. She has a little bit about herself at the bottom, which is nice because part of her business is really around DEI, so diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so she puts a little bit in that as well. But, keep an eye out because sometimes when you register for events, they'll do these kind of like easy to grab and go social tiles that you can just use, drop in your picture or just use them as is. And then that saves you some time and hassle too. So if you're attending an event that's connected to your business, and, this might be an example of a kind of post you might want to do. All right, so let's talk about during the event. So you got there, you're all excited. Maybe you're a little overwhelmed if you're more of the introvert crowd. Sometimes you're at these big events and it's like, that's a lot of people. But it's okay. You've got yourself organized ahead of time. And so you're gonna be good to go. And like I always tell people, you don't have to connect with everyone at an event. It's fine to just say, you know what, this is an all-day event, and I would really like to meet 3 interesting people at this event today. That's a totally awesome goal. Like just 3 people. I want to meet 3 interesting people and be able to follow up with them. You don't have to meet everybody. But remember, because you're going to do your personal PR, even if it's people that you don't meet at the event, you might have an opportunity to meet and connect with them afterwards. So during the event, what are you going to do? Well, I know you're probably not there without your phone in hand, right? So that's half your battle. Take some photos of the event. At the end of this, if you download the full guide, there's a little list of like ideas for photos to take. Take some notes during the session. You're there to learn and do different things as well. If you're someone that's okay recording video, maybe record some video too. Well, if you're at a really big event, one thing I tell people to do is when you're in the room before the big keynote starts, like go kind of stand in the middle and hold your phone up on video and do like the 360 view around the room and talk about how excited you are to be there. If that feels like putting yourself a little bit out there too much, which I could totally appreciate, then you can take a nice picture and then you can always write those things later. And during the event, if you have time, especially if it's a multi-day event, you can post some highlights, takeaways, and fun moments. If it's a shorter event, you can do that afterwards. And then you'll also want to like, comment, and share posts, again, from all those people that you went and followed in your prep, the event organizers, some speakers, key influencers and other attendees that are there. So this is where you remember our step 2. You're going to learn, take notes, and create some assets that you can use in your posts. Before I go any further, though, I feel like I should stop and ask if there's questions, because I kind of jumped right. I was so excited to jump into step 2 that I didn't ask if there were questions after step 1. Any questions so far that we can answer, like for the before part or anything else? I don't know if anybody has anything so far. Not yet. All right.
Like everyone's good in the chat so far.
Okay. Awesome. Well, feel free to jump in anytime. So, okay. So like I said, now we're at the event. So during the event, you can take a photo or two. If you have a little bit of time to write a post during it, that's nice. And this is an event I was at not too long ago. It was in a fundraiser and celebration for the Girl Scouts, which I think most people probably know who the Girl Scouts are. And it was their Women of Distinction breakfast celebration. And so again, just quick little summary, highlight the event organizers, thank the person that invited me to the event. There was a nice little quote on the little flyers there, and it's just me holding the stuff that was on the table. Take a nice picture, right? And do a post. Super easy. And, hashtag on this one was leadership, because it's about great leaders who had been Girl Scouts growing up and or who give back to the organization. Another example, you can share some photos and perspectives each day of a multi-day event. And I kind of liked this one. Michelle you can see she's a little bit more of a casual conversation type of person. And I love this because if you knew her, this post is very much her. So again, back to that, don't feel like you have to be the super buttoned up, marketing PR person. This is how she talks, right? Which I love this about this. She's got some really interesting things about the event that was going on. Again, tags the organizers, the woman that was leading the different events, some hashtags from it. And then look at all these lovely photos, like nice, casual, fun photos, bright, smiley faces, right? And different kinds of things, not overly posed, really kind of casual and fun. And so she's got a nice message in there. And again, a few things during the event of what was going on. Another one, this was I always tell people, like, show some swag. You go to a lot of these events and they give you hats or they give you t-shirts or, something kind of fun and interesting. And so go ahead and show some swag. Your event organizers will love this, right? Because number one, that's why they give you the swag. They really want you to take pictures of it and use it in your posts. And for this one, I had been at an event with CMO Huddles, and they sent me this really fun hat, which actually just happened to match my favorite like hoodie to go walk in. So people are like, "You're so coordinated." I'm like, "It just happens to be my favorite color, purple." But anyway, so a nice post there, and then tagged some people I know from that community fairly well that I'm also connected with. And we started a whole trend with this post, right? So I got my hat, posted it, and everything. CMO Huddles reshared it. And then most of the people that I tagged in this were like, I got my hat and I got my hat and I got my hat and continued tagging and everything else. So we got some nice boost across the board for it. So if you're at these events and you get some swag, go ahead and show off the swag, why not? And again, this is just like me literally, in this office loft, not too long after the event, heading out, the hat came. I'm like, oh, I'm going to wear my new hat today when I go out. That'll be fun. Put my hat on, went out to take the dog for a walk. So you can have a lot of fun with the swag then too, whether you're fully color coordinated on your outfit or not, just for clarity. But then let's talk a little bit about after the event. And so this is really also a nice time to kind of do a variety of different things. So you can, share the event organizer wrap up post and add your thoughts to it. You've already followed them on these different social channels. It might take them a couple days to do some of the wrap up posts. That's totally fine. It doesn't need to be, within a few hours or the next day afterwards. But you can, if you want to keep it super simple, you can share their post and add some comments to it, right? You can create your own wrap up post with highlights and insights. That could be from a session that you really liked. It could be from the event overall. You can also share a post from another attendee or speaker. Again, easy way to get some mileage. And beyond just the posts that you do, you could write a follow-up article or make a follow-up video if you're someone that's good with video, with reflections from the event and connect it to anything else that you might have done related to the topics there. And, again, remember that your good posts it's in your own voice. It shows a little bit of your personality. You keep it kind of straightforward, how you would talk, and a little white space in there and everything else. And I kind of love this photo too. I mean, how could you not love this person crossing the finish line? There's times when you go to events and it's a lot of energy sometimes being at these events, and you kind of feel like this person when you get back home, you're like, I did it, I made it, kind of thing. So it's really good to just take a few minutes afterwards. The after stuff will be easy because, again, you created your cheat sheet, you took a little bit of content during the event, and so afterwards it'll be really easy to do your posts. So let's look at some more examples. Again, some nice casual photos, and this was a kind of a medium-sized event, and the person that posted this wanted to really enjoy the roundtable breakout that they had during the event, and so wanted to thank the person for organizing it, tagged the other people that were in their breakout group, and just, again, some casual photos and things. This was a longer post at the top, but really here what I wanted to show was some easy examples of some pictures. Just takes a few snaps during the event, and you can put together a nice post afterwards. All right, another nice after event, again, fairly casual photo, but shared some aha moments. And I love this post by Kirby because she really shares some things that stood out to her during the event. And she's straightforward. She's like, I'm kind of still processing all of it, but because a lot of times you need that after an event to just kind of really reflect and make sure you've understood what was going on. And I thought this was just kind of a nice post. Again, nice picture, not super formal, tagged the event organizer, shares her aha moment, and some nice hashtags with it. Another after the event example, and Barbara is somebody that I love to follow on LinkedIn. She's actually a good friend of mine too, but she does the best event wrap-ups. like honestly, go check out Barbara Spitzer. She literally, they're genius. Really, half the time I look, if we're at the same event, I look for Barbara's wrap up and then I just share her wrap up because I don't have anything better to say than what she's already said. So if you have a Barbara in your life to follow for some of these events, I recommend you do. This was an event we were both at. I think I might have shared this one that she did too, for the National Association of Corporate Directors. She and I both serve on some different corporate boards. And she tags the people that were there that spoke on the panel, the pictures at the bottom. She just took with her iPhone, shared a few really, significant takeaways that she had from the event. And she did this on top of the NACD's corporate post. So they sponsored the event, and she shared that and added her insights on top. So again, the nice example of share the event wrap-up post, add your takeaways, thank the speakers. And again, if you have a Barbara in your life that's brilliant at writing these, just share their post and you still get the benefit of it. All right. Whoops. Okay, slide hiccups. There we go. This is also an example of strengthening your connections of people that you meet at a different event. And so Sarah had met Cindy at this particular event and wanted to say how nice it was to meet her there. And thanks to the event organizers and some different people involved. And so she reshared Cindy's post of the different things that were there and how she went on. Again, some nice photos attached to it. But what if it's just someone that you want to, if you're Sarah and Cindy's somebody that you really want to follow up with afterwards, like what a nice way to be memorable beyond the event, right? Cindy probably remembers meeting Sarah there. That's all great. But now she's definitely going to remember her because she shared one of her posts afterwards. And that will always be then in Cindy's feed. They'll have this connection of how they met long past the event ending. So if there's people you really want to stay connected with after an event, like this is a nice thing to do. And you might be surprised, there'll be people that will share your post too. So that's also kind of cool. Another one, you can share some speaker points. And this is another Barbara post. Like I said, she's a genius at this. Like tags the different speakers, a little bit about what they said. Thank the event organizers, and at the bottom, she mentions like it's always nice to see some friends and fellow directors at this, and she tags some different people there as well. So this is like a combination of there's a summary, you thank the sponsor, you've got the different speakers in there, so you get connected to them and then show up on their radar and in some of their feeds. And then you tag some other people that so you get more mileage as well. So again, really easy. It takes a few minutes, yes, but you've taken notes during the event, you've taken some photos, you've already followed the different people involved, and so it'll be pretty easy to put it together. And in fairness, you don't have to do these after posts. Like the event ends and like that evening you do all your posts. If you can, that's great, but you don't have to. You really have, I would say, up to 2 weeks after an event, you can still do posts about it and you'll get a lot of boost from it. One, because it'll still be top of mind for people. Two, these after posts kind of drip out a little bit after the event finishes, and that's completely fine. So a lot of people will say, well, the event finished 2 days ago and I haven't done my post and I feel like I missed the window of opportunity. That's not true. Go ahead and do the post. There will be people out there that will be like, oh my gosh, that was the best time, or oh, I remember that, or that was my favorite session too, or that speaker resonated with me as well. And so go ahead and just do it. Don't worry about it being a little bit of time after the event ends.
We have a question in chat if we have time.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Angie's asking, how can you tell this is working in the long run? I'm motivated by measurable metrics.
Absolutely. So I'll give you some LinkedIn examples, but there'll be like parallel things that you can look at regardless of, like I said, whatever channel you're on, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or wherever you might be. You'll notice that you'll get more impressions from some of your posts. Now, impressions can be a flaky thing depending on the channel that you're on, because they change the algorithms around. So impressions are not always a great long-term metric, but you should see a little bit of the boost there. But you'll see more engagement with them. You'll see more people liking and commenting on it right away. You probably see a few shares and some different things connected to it. And you might also notice, and this is a little harder to directly see in the analytics of a lot of these platforms, so you might have to kind of monitor some of it yourself and see that more people will probably tag you in these posts as well. You know, if you start following up on different events and different kinds of things, other people that are there will start to tag you. So I would say you can look at impressions, although that's kind of a, you know, nice to look at, but I wouldn't sweat too much the impression number. Look at engagement on things. You know, a lot of people that start doing this, they're like, you know, I post occasionally, but I don't really get a lot of engagement with my posts, or I maybe get 1 or 2 people that engage with my posts. And so even if you go from 1 or 2 people to 10 people, like that's a big jump. Like if that happens again and again and again with your different posts, you get a lot of lift in your PR from that. So I kind of like engagement, shares, and then you'll start to notice probably some more people tagging you as well. Great question though. Great question. The how do we know it's working is always a good question. Anything else we've got going on in chat or?
Yeah, we have another question from Allison. I'm all for sharing gratitude by thanking people who I've met, but is it true that LinkedIn buries the posts if you tag too many people at once?
You know, LinkedIn changes their algorithms so often. I don't know if I have the most current answer to that. I think if you tag people that you've already followed versus you follow them just before you're going to do the post. So back to our pre-work, like if you followed them in advance of the event, there's some time there. So when you tag them in a post, it's less likely to get buried because it doesn't look like you were just being opportunistic in the moment, so to speak. They do cap the number of people that you can tag in a post. And I think if you bump right up against that, I don't know how many it is today. It used to be like 40 people. And you see some of these folks that will like tag literally everybody and their dog on these different posts. So you don't want to go overboard and do that, because I think if you bump right up against that max number, they probably will be like, okay, this is kind of the post equivalent of spamming, and we don't want to do that. But if it's a few people that you've already followed, and if it's people that you know and that you're connected with, then you should still be okay. But don't do the just like throw everybody in there on the tagging thing just because. Good question though. Good question.
I think we're good on the question, and I say folks are sharing stories in the chat. So if I missed the
awesome.
question, please drop it again.
Very nice. But like on this example, like this was a virtual event, right? So again, I reshared the sponsors post, but even if I hadn't reshared theirs, like you could do just a little gallery screenshot of people and then put that into your post. So even if it's a virtual event, like I said, you can still kind of do these different things. But again, write how you speak, put a little bit of white space in there. You can add some emojis and some different things in there to just give it some visual interest as well. And you can do it pretty quickly. All right, another great after post, and this one, you know, granted, it doesn't have a picture with it, but it's a really nicely written post. And, you know, Mercedes was also as part of this, she's doing a little bit of a pivot, if you will, in terms of how she's associated. She's one of those people that has incredibly deep technical security expertise that's leaning a little bit more into AI. And so she's been doing more posts to kind of help her do some of that by some of these different events. And so again, you know, she really enjoyed the speakers. Here's some of her key takeaways with it. And then, you know, asked a couple questions at the bottom. She'd love for some comments and some different things related to it and some relevant hashtags. So even if you don't have a photo from it, you know, or different things like that, you can still do a really nice summary post. And she got some pretty good mileage from this.
We have 2 questions in the chat.
Yeah.
One from Joy. How long should a post be?
That's a good question. You know, I don't personally, I think it should be, this is going to sound like a terrible consulting answer, and I apologize. It should be as long as it needs to be and not longer. And it should be as short as it should be to get your point across. So translation there. Think about why you're attending the event and what you really want to get out of it. And so, like, if you're doing a wrap-up post afterwards, just put like maybe 2 to 3 main takeaways in there. You don't need to, you know, basically itemize the entire event. Pick the couple of takeaways that are connected to what you want to get out of it, right? So if you're at an event because you're doing something like Mercedes and you're kind of pivoting your career a little bit into some new areas, you know, she picked things like, as an executive leader, find the use cases to apply Gen AI, because she's a CTO and she's chief technology officer and she's looking to get more into Gen AI. So executive leader is a good one. What does it mean is another good one if you lead a group of people, and then kind of how to manage your team and upskill your workers. There was a lot more in this event, granted, but she, given what she's trying to do, she picked the couple of things to put in the wrap up that were going to most help her goals from being at the event. So if you're not sure, I would say shorter is better, mostly because social posts, you know, people will read a little bit, but it's, you know, there's sometimes I see on LinkedIn, the posts are so long. I'm like, this is an article disguised as a post, right? And it would be better if they wrote an article, because you can do a nice article on LinkedIn and then do a post about the article that's short, sweet, and to the point. So after an event, you could write a little article about, hey, you know, I just wrapped up a couple of days at, you know, whatever the event was. You know, here's my main takeaways and the things I was most inspired by and learned. Write it as an article and then share the article in a post with a shorter blurb attached to it. Articles are good because they are, in the land of PR, something that we love, which is called a referenceable artifact, which is a fancy way of saying something that people can search for and find that showcases what you're a genius at long after, right? So a social post itself has a pretty short half-life. I mean, but people can go back and look through your feed and see it. But they're not as often picked up. It depends on the platform, but they're not as often picked up by the search engines and those kinds of things. But a lot of times an article is. So you can write an article on LinkedIn. You could write an article on Medium. You can write an article on Substack. You can write an article on any of these, you know, on Quora or on any other kind of channel that you want, and then share that as a post. So you get the artifact that lives long, long term for you personally, and you get the social boost around it. But so that was a very long answer to a short question, but I think, but you know, shorter is better. And if you feel like you just really have a lot to say, there's nothing wrong with that. Just think about, does all of that belong in a post? Or is that better in a referenceable artifact that's some kind of article that lives someplace that then you can share as a post? And you might get more followers in that other channel then too, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Awesome.
All right.
We have one more question if we have time.
Yeah.
Is there a hashtag for this event?
Oh, this event here?
I believe so, yeah.
That's a Hannah question.
We did not make a hashtag, but we could, I guess. Oh, should have done the pre-planning, eh? Yeah.
You can tag the sponsor. You're welcome to tag me. I'm happy to say
Yeah.
thank you if you want to tag me on it.
Yeah, I guess.
There you go. You know, another quick example of, this was one I did. I had really like almost no time to do this. Like, I think I was literally sitting on the train going into New York when I did this post, because I was like, oh, I need to do this. I don't have time. Let me just do it quick. So again, reshared the event organizer's post, added a little blurb on top, tagged the sponsor of it, I didn't have all the names with me of the people that I'd met at the time, but I at least tagged the sponsor, and some of them were tagged in the event organizers post below, and just thank them. Say you had a good time. Really interesting, some of those different kinds of things that you learned. So even if you're like me, got behind, sitting on a train, whoops, I forgot to do that. 2 or 3 minutes out the door and done. You know, some people also, if there's like a season to some of the things that you do, I kind of love this post by Lisa. It was, you know, around Women's History Month. And Lisa's a former ambassador. She does a lot of work for advocacy for women's rights around the world. And so she was kind of every place during Women's History Month as a result, as is a good thing. So she did some nice posts to kind of wrap up with some nice pictures and some different things around around the month itself. So you know, whatever that might be for you, if there's any kind of a seasonality, or if it's a month that celebrates something that's meaningful for you, like, you know, May is in the US anyway, is like Mental Health Awareness Month. And if that's a cause that's very important to you and you do a few events, you know, you can also do a wrap up across the events too. And mention a few people and tag some folks as well. You know, don't rule out the small events either. And I kind of love this post from Helena. She's also a good friend of mine. I've known her for years. Small events and get-togethers can count too. Note the purpose of the event, tag some people, and add some hashtags. Helena is an entrepreneur. She has her own company for some things. All of us in this photo, we've known each other for ages, and we're kind of each other's people, if you will, in business, careers, personal lives, and everything. We have gotten together for sip and nosh or dinner, you know, for years, and to be that support for each other. And she was in particular need of some, you know, all hands on deck help when we did this one, and she just had a million things going on. And so don't forget the small events. You know, we had one of the servers at the bar we were at just take this photo quick, and it turned into kind of a lovely post. And it's kind of a recurring theme for all of us in this little, it's an informal group of us, but you know, we tend to post some of this. And you know, I have people that are like, oh, the CMO ladies, you guys are out again. Different kinds of things. So remember, small groups can be really powerful as well. You know, if you have your people that are the ones that prop you up when you're down, that are the first to cheer when it's your success, and that are sounding boards for you and you are for them, and you get together, it can also be a really nice post to do too. All right. Well, that was the main part of content, and happy to answer more questions. I'm going to go out of screen share mode. There's a couple QR codes here. I'm going to drop the cheat sheet in the chat, and which is the short version. Whoops. Note to self, don't talk, present, and type at the same time. Oh, I think it actually is not going to let me paste it in here. Bummer.
You can also send it to me and I can share it with everyone if you like.
Okay. Let's see if it'll let me do that. Oh, okay. It's not gonna let me post in chat. I'm so sorry. All right. Well, Hannah, I'll send it to you. It's it's just a short kind of couple pages, well, really like 2 pages. The cheat sheet is, it kind of goes through the things to do before, some ideas during and after. If you want to download the full PR guide, you can scan the QR code here and do that. It's free, and it's got a little bit more detail and in-depth in it. And you're welcome to download that, share it with friends if you would like, and it'll walk you through in a little bit more detail for things. I also coach and advise people on a lot of this kind of stuff, and it's one of my favorite things to do. And it's really fun to see, especially entrepreneurs, business owners, or people really trying to ramp up different parts of their career. And I find it a lot of fun to really help people kind of get the benefit of the genius that they are out there in the world. So if you'd like to book an advisory session with me, this is a little bit of a discounted price that I do for people that attend events. And you can ask me anything you want. So I'm there to help you. You can ask me anything. If you want me to look at something beforehand, you can send it to me ahead of time. I will look at it before we get on the phone or on Zoom. And it's time for you to get whatever you need. So I'm happy to do that as well if you would like. And it has been a super pleasure being here. I hope you picked up a couple of tips during all of this. Any last questions or thoughts from folks? I don't know if we have more going on in
the chat. Yeah. Also, if I missed anyone's question, please just tag me in it and I can read it out for you. But yeah, feel free to unmute as well. I'm also welcome.
Anybody have an event they went to just recently that you're like, "Ooh, I can go try this now today." Send something afterwards. I think a lot of people, nowadays, I don't know about you all, but at different points, you probably go to a couple of events a month, whether they're virtual or on location. And you may not do this for all of them, but the ones that are more meaningful, when you get into a groove of it, it'll be really easy to do. So, and it can be a lot of fun. It really helps just get some boost. So many people say, well, I'm not speaking, so what do I do? I'm like, it doesn't matter. You can still get the association of the event and the people there. And people remember that, especially event and organizers. If you go to a lot of their events and they see great posts from you, personally, I've gotten comped tickets to things because they've seen me post about their other events in the past. And so I either get a discount or a free ticket sometimes, which is great. I've gotten clients from things that people have seen that I've posted. They're like, oh my gosh, what you said in that post and the article that you wrote around it for that event, that is exactly what I'm trying to figure out. Can I talk to you? So, so again, just some of it in action, and you don't have to be the person that does this for a living. Anybody can do this. And that's why I really put this content together, because I feel like everybody should get the benefit of it. You don't have to be someone like me that spent your career in marketing to do this.
Got a great question from Allison in the
Oh,
chat.
great.
What kinds of things do you wish organizers provided to enable this and help people amplify? Selfish question, because I am an event organizer.
Oh, nice. Awesome. So a couple things. I love when people register, sometimes they'll have the kind of share that you've registered thing right at the registration screen itself, which is nice. Also, if you can give them, again, those kind of pre-formatted tiles that maybe they just drop in the photo, or maybe they can just pick the tile and go later. Because a lot of times people register way in advance for an event and they may or may not want to. Like, I just registered for an event like 2 months ago that's in October. So posting that I just registered then would be okay, but it's not going to make that much sense. But if they sent me a tile that I could post a couple weeks before the event, that would be awesome. So those little tiles that people can just use that are pre-formatted for, LinkedIn or, Instagram, or, whatever your small messaging app favorite one is, whether that's X or Blue Sky or whatever it might be, can be good. So that's one. Mention the hashtags every place that you promote the event so people know what it is, and encourage people to follow the sponsors on the different social profiles. Like, literally say, thanks to our sponsors, please follow them before the event, and just give them the links. Like and just click on it and follow them is great. And then, I mean, most event organizers monitor all the hashtags during the event. So they'll often share people's posts if they see things going on before or after. And I think that's always a lovely touch as well, when you want people to come, if it's an event you do like regularly, like maybe every year or a couple times a year, it's a nice way to get people to come back. I hope did that answer your question, Allison? I hope maybe a few things.
I'm wondering also, Katrina, do you think it would be helpful if there was copy that people can copy paste, or do you think that's disingenuous if there's a script that everyone's following? I
I
think
think
sometimes there's a blocker. It's like, oh, I want to post, but I don't know what to write. Like maybe that would be helpful.
right. I think for smaller events and things, the big massive events, sometimes they'll do the okay, here, post that you're there or something. I think for a little bit smaller events, I think it's fine. Um it's gives people a little bit of a starter to get
Yeah.
going. And if you download the full guide here, I've got some example posts in there that you can then take and then drop in your little personalized pieces to them. But if you're an event organizer, you know, feel free to reach out to people and say, hey, we're going to post afterwards, and we love you to share this post and add in your insights or add in your comment on top and give them a couple of examples. If any of you are in different kind of pod groups that amplify each other's posts, like that's a great thing to do. I do this, I'm in a few of them, and I do that. I'm like, okay, I just wrote this great article on literally just did this not that long ago on the benefits of thought leadership and why you need to do it now, and sent it out to, again, my people. We all need our people. And said, I really love the amplification on this. If you don't mind, here's a couple example comments, but please add what stood out most to you. And it gives people a good starting point. Because yeah, there's people that this comes really naturally to, and there's people that are like, I want to do this, but this is never going to be natural for me, and I just need a little bit of help. That's totally okay.
Seeing some more in the chat. Joy was wondering how to get over her fear of posting first posts. But starting small with smaller events sounds like the perfect way to start. Awesome.
Yeah. Joy, I would say, I tell a lot of people, because there's a lot of people that I've worked with that are just like, they just shake before they hit post, like literally shake. I know she was just like, I can't do it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hold your hand. We're gonna hit post. But what I usually tell people is, really just, even if you just follow the event organizers or follow some of the speakers, and when they post, just share the post and just say, thank you, retag them, really enjoyed this event, and hit post. Like you can't mess it up. Like nobody's going to argue with you about it. It's you're not going to feed the trolls, as I say. We don't feed the trolls online. Nothing good comes from that. But it's a good way to just kind of build your confidence and build your comfort level with doing some of those, because sharing posts are great. Or like if you have someone like my friend Barbara that's just like genius at event recaps, follow them and just share their post and say, thank you for this excellent recap. I totally agree, or, really enjoyed it as well, and hit post. So shares are a really nice way to just kind of ease yourself into this. And then you can kind of build from there for what feels like comfortable and okay for you. But give it a go. You might be surprised. Anything else? I loved how somebody said something about offer a prize for the best free event post. That's awesome. I love that. If you're an event organizer, kind of gamify it a bit, like that's kind of fun. That's pretty cool. There you go. Oh, you all have a hype pod. That's awesome.
Yeah, in Slack. If you are in the Growclass Slack, definitely hop over to the hype train channel here.
Very nice.
All right, crew. Well, if those are all the final questions, I want to take some time to thank you, Katrina, for sharing your insights and expertise with us today. I have all of Katrina's links here. I'm going to drop them in the chat again. So if you want to connect with her, you can. This session is recorded, so myself or Jenna will be in your inbox soon with the replay. And if anyone has any questions, we'll be sharing stuff in Slack as well. And thank you all for showing up today. Thank you for making time to learn these things and show up for yourself. So appreciate that. Otherwise, we'll see you all in Slack soon. Take it easy, friends. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.